When you're back against the wall and you've been broke, who you call in the clutch when it get close? Jersey on, best in the nest with the catch. I'm Deshaun, deep threat, gone. I'm Deshaun, dead the defense once again. I'm Deshaun. What's back? What? Randall Cobb and Gat Luck shut the boys down with our backups.
What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and it is Philly the podcast. Look, I know Philadelphia's a little upset right now, but this podcast got to keep bringing the heat, man. Just because the Eagles suck, we ain't gonna start. But with that said, we have a very special guest today. We got your boy Pierce, my boy Pierce, with the music. You guys might know him from the Nick Foles raps.
Who you call when they count you out with little hope? When you're back against the wall and you've been broke, who you call in the clutch when it get close? Nick Foles.
It is great to have you on here, man. How are you doing today?
Doing well, man. Joe, it's great to connect with you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Definitely. So like I said, a lot of people will probably know you from the Nick Foles thing, but you have done so many cool music things. I saw the Saved by the Bell one, and that one was probably one of my favorites that weren't, football, but you've done some for Deshaun Jackson. You've done different types. So what got you into doing those Philly type videos?
So, man, the first one I did, I guess just going back, I've been an Eagles fan growing up. I'm from Wilmington, Delaware, about 30 to 40 minutes south of Philly. So naturally was an Eagles fan growing up with Randall and then McNabb. But the first Eagles video that I ever did was about 2 years ago. So I did want to kind of celebrate the Super Bowl 52 win, naturally. And I did it, like you said, Nick Foles was the title of it. And I did it right before the 2018-2019 season, the day of the opener. I think I released it. And it really gained a lot of traction, and it blew up around the time of the second playoff run when Foles came in again to replace Wentz. And I remember I reposted it the day that, Foles came back in. We had a huge win, and just so many people really blew it up. It got, it got close to 1 million views on Facebook, which was really cool. It got some key shares from 6ABC, Barstool. So it was really my passion. Every subject I cover, whether it be Saved by the Bell or Seinfeld, it needs to be something that, I care about and something that I'm really tight with. And the Eagles was just a natural fit. And just to this day, I think a huge percentage of my fan base are Eagles fans. So just continuing to do it is really fun for me to do.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say about Philadelphia, no matter if it's sports, if it's entertainment, once we, attach to something, we attach. And I know the city of Philadelphia definitely attached to your music, and it's great music. A lot of times you start getting into, some people will do, how do I say this? It's almost gimmicky, but you have real hip hop, you know what I'm saying? And the live, way that you do it. I saw the Eagles with the Sunday with the Boys Eagles thing that you did this week. It's talent. It takes real talent. So I definitely commend you on that. Yeah, it was cool. It was definitely cool to see the timing of it and everything. So outside of Philly, outside of the Eagles, what is your music background? I know we have kind of a mutual friend, so I kind of want to know more of, what have you done as far as music goes?
Sure. Long story short, I've been making music for 15 years now, which sounds crazy to say out loud. It just started with my passion of loving music and all the things that it's given me in terms of, confidence and just a lot of meaning. I've always had a big connection with music, and I grew up in the era of, Notorious B.I.G. and Nas and just Wu-Tang when I was a little kid, and probably shouldn't have been listening to those lyrics, but those were always kind of my influences, Eminem, the list goes on. And it started with me doing almost mashups and DJ type of remixes for years when I was in college. And then when I moved to Philly after college, I lived in Philly for 5 years. That's another big reason for my love of Philly and my love of the Eagles was, the time I spent there. I started doing live shows when I moved to Philly, and I started writing my own raps and kind of developing my own style and releasing my own music. So that's a little background. Then I moved to New York. I lived in New York for 7 years. The pandemic has brought me back to Wilmington, Delaware, but my music's always been at something I truly believe in. And, it's all while I juggle. I have a full-time job in marketing and advertising at an ad agency in New York City. And this is kind of my passion, my side passion that's, every year, something new comes up. Like last year I performed on Fox 29 as a result of Deshaun Jackson, posting my video about him. So every year there's a new thing that brings me higher up and just keeps my momentum going for music because it's such a, big passion for me.
Definitely. That's awesome. Now, in Philly, we like to kind of compare ourselves to that Rocky type, mentality, the underdog mentality. Coming up, like you said, as kids, we're not really supposed to be listening to, Biggie and Pac and all that stuff that we were listening to. But can you relate your come up, and coming up in Philadelphia, doing the music, and like you said, now it's become more of a side passion. Can you relate that mentality? What are some things that you maybe had to go through that you can draw back on that Philly mentality to get you through?
Oh, 100%, man. I mean, my first shows in 2011, 2012 in Philly, they were almost like my 8 Mile moments. Like they weren't battles, but from the areas that I would perform in, I would take any show that people threw my way because I was coming up and I was trying to get experience under my belt and just getting comfortable doing live shows. So I would go to these shows in North Philly, West Philly, you name it. And every single time I was, the only white dude in these rap kind of, as you'd expect, like these rap showcases, if you will. And I think the thing that was really cool with Philly was that it didn't matter. Like it was all about hip hop. It was all about, the grind. And I think once I got up there and I showed that this was something that I was taking seriously and something that, I genuinely loved with hip hop, people just embraced it. And I made so many great friends during those situations. And none of that mattered. Everybody came together. And that was my Philly grind, the grit of, working all day at my ad agency job and being whatever, I get home, I'm working on music. I'm not watching TV. I got to sacrifice going out and doing the normal happy hour things because I got a show tonight. And that was, that's something I carry with me to this day with, in New York, I was doing at least one show a week with, before the pandemic hit. So that's something to this day. I just carry that, that grind, that determination that we all love about Philly.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about social media, honestly, because I do have a lot of friends that, are artists. And like we said, we connected through one of our mutual friends that's an artist. Shout out to Jose. Big shout out to my guy.
Shout out.
But, social media and, the internet alike have just really given artists a big platform that they are sorely lacking, unfortunately, due to everything going on. But, let's I want to keep it a little bit positive. You did say, you got almost 1 million views on Facebook. You were able to go on the news and everything. Can you pick, I know this is probably going to be hard. Can you pick maybe 1 or 2 times that, just kind of solidify that you were just if everything stopped now, I have this?
Man, I mean, the Deshaun whole run was amazing with performing that on Fox 29. That was really special to me. Another thing that was really cool was that I did this rap paying homage to Delaware, to the state where I'm from. And I don't think there's ever been a rap about Delaware, at least to the detail that I did it. And it actually on the front page of the News Journal, which is Wilmington, Delaware's, news outlet, their newspaper that I grew up seeing it in every store. And my parents and everyone I knew always read it. And believe it or not, last year, front page of the News Journal, New York rapper pays homage to Delaware was the headline. And there was a full 2 to 3 page spread. I was getting calls from my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, just going nuts about it. I called, my mom and dad, made sure they got as many copies as they could buy up at the local 7-Eleven. So that was big. Performing on TV, all the Nick Foles things that came were really big. And then also, opening for rappers who I've liked for so long, people in this, underground scene, people like Mac Lethal. I opened for him. Wow. I opened for MC Lars and MC Chris, who are huge in the nerdcore hip hop scene, which is actually the show where I met your buddy Jose. He also opened for them. So the list, I mean, those are at the top of the list, absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's definitely something you can hold your hat on. Nobody could take that away from you. Like before we start venting about the Eagles, I do want to ask you one last thing about the music. As a fan of '90s culture in general, I'm gonna personally need a Boy Meets World song, but
Man, yeah, a
what's
lot of
next?
people have that one has been at the top of the list for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna
People have
need
put that
that.
in my ear, absolutely.
Topanga's my girls. To this
Yeah,
day, I
man.
still love Topanga.
Yep.
What's next for you? What are the next moves you're looking at?
So next, I mean, my every year I kind of have a different milestone that I'm trying to reach, and this year, as you've seen in these Eagles videos, I'm all about this improvisational style. Like at shows, I've always been big on freestyles. I do a thing called the dictionary freestyle where a crowd member picks a page of the dictionary, I rap out every word on the page, but I want to build on that this year and actually do improv from creating a song from scratch. So in these Eagles songs, you're seeing that, I'm playing different chords on piano. Before this year, I didn't know one chord on the piano. Like I intentionally was like, I'm going to learn music theory. I want to learn the keys and chords so that I can do this almost full on the fly music creation. So a lot of the Eagles things that you see, I come in with maybe like, 4 bars planned, or I have a bass line, or I know what key the song's going to be in, but otherwise I kind of just let it fly and just have fun with it. And it seems like people are reacting positively to that. So this new improv style is my main focus for this year and beyond, because fingers crossed when shows come back, I can kind of bring this new style to the forefront and just do this like live mishmash of music for shows. So that's kind of what's next for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, hey, I gotta say thank you from everybody, because in times like these, what we need is entertainment. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And sustainable entertainment. And I'm glad that you're finding something that is just feeding that passion. Because so many times, whether it be music, whether it even be this YouTube thing. I mean, I started this podcast maybe like 6 months ago now, and we've blown up, which is beautiful. I love it.
Nice,
But
man. Congrats.
yeah, it's a blessing. But I would be doing this off of camera, so like
Amen.
when you can find that little niche or whatever it may be to really explode your passion, that's a beautiful thing. I commend you 100%. Hats off to you. Now
Thanks, man. Likewise.
let's get a little bit upset.
Yeah, let's get upset here.
Let's talk a little bit of the Eagles, man. Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles are eliminated from playoff contention. We haven't talked all season about this, so I would love to hear just your thoughts on the Eagles season so this far,
Yeah. I mean, much like the theme of 2020, just frustration, disappointment are some words that come to mind. I mean, this year, I want to say like 6 weeks ago, me and my brother, who are both avid Eagles fans, he lives down in Florida. We talk, we text about the Eagles a lot. We came to this conclusion. We were like, what should we like do something better with our Sundays? Is there something more fun, something more productive than like we're wasting 3-4 hours on these games every week because like we haven't had a nucleus, like struggled with a team identity. Just, there doesn't seem to be a core vocal leader, someone that people rally around. I will say if there was a silver lining before yesterday, it was that we actually got to enjoy some games and enjoy some great games. The Saints game was so awesome. Obviously, the Cardinals game, I think, was one of the best NFL games of the entire year, maybe second only to that Ravens versus Browns game, that Thursday night classic game. So those games were very fun, but it all came crashing down yesterday. I mean, the first half, our hopes were high. You were posting about D-Jack's touchdown. I was pumped. You were getting me pumped. But then, and I watched your post game yesterday. I couldn't agree more with just the wheels fell off, and just now there's so many questions in the air that need to be addressed. So frustration, I guess, is the key if I had to sum it all up.
I think frustration is a perfect way to put this whole season. It's disappointing. It's crazy because we just came from 2017. We won a Super Bowl, and now we're questioning everything. It's like, we don't know who's to blame, who's at fault. It's just a scary, because if I'll say this one thing, and I hate to say nice things about Dallas, but at least Dallas can go into the offseason and say, once we get Dak back, things should get better.
Right.
I feel like with the Eagles, we're looking at our front office. We're looking at, our water boy might not be safe next year.
Right.
Like, it's just,
He's on alert.
seriously, like, I don't know what you've been putting in the water bottles, boy, but it is not working, man. But, there are some positives. There are a couple positives. For me, positives are like the offensive line. We do have some good backups. We've been playing with backups for the past 13 weeks. So we do have some decent plug and play players. We do have players coming back from injury. The main question is, what do you think about Carson versus Jalen? I think that's going to be the hot topic all season. What are your thoughts?
Oh, 100%. You look at Eagles Reddit, look at anything Eagles, that's like showered with every meme under the sun, which a lot of them are very funny. So, my thought there, like, it's like when you're in a chaotic relationship and like you've tried so many things. I think if we could make some kind of trade, I just think it's time. Like I feel for him. I feel bad for him. Like if I was going to work every day and a statue of my predecessor was in the parking lot at my office, I would be upset. And then drafting this hot shot rookie, like always looking over my shoulder. So I feel for him. I hope that there's opportunity for him. I hope there's, if it's a market for him where he can excel, that would be awesome, as long as it's not in our division.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know your thoughts, but I would think that I think it's time to move on and hopefully get something maybe via trade.
Yeah, I think, like you said, to kind of build off what you said, it's more for him at this point. Like I don't think we're going to be going forward with him as our starter. And even if we do, we're going to be playing this hot potato with our quarterback situation. Because this isn't the first time that we went to our backup, obviously.
Yep.
It seems that I don't even want to say have faith in Carson Wentz, but I think that he's on a very, very short string. Personally, I love Carson. I love what he's done for Philadelphia. I think he has all the talent in the world. Just, change of scenery might be the thing. It's a real thing. A lot of people, change their team and they find a way to kind of resurrect their career. And I think Carson can. I 100% agree with you. I think it might be time to just move on and go forward with Jalen Hurts. So last question before I get you out of here, let you go on. What do you think about next year? Do you think the Eagles are going to turn this around with the people they have? Do you think it's a full blow up and we're rebuilding?
So I don't think it's a full blow up as much as everyone wants that. I'm trying to keep in mind, like, we have 4 wins in maybe the worst division in the history of football this year.
4.5.
2 more wins than the Jets. Like, it's like
4.5. 4.5.
What has happened? 4.5. Oh man. Forget everything I said. So 4.5 wins. But I don't see them getting rid of Doug. I don't see them getting rid of Howie. I just think of the Super Bowl. I think of, what is it? Is it 3 years in a row that we made the playoffs?
Yep.
I don't see it happening. I don't see those two going. If one of 3, I see Carson as the most likely of those 3, of making a major move with Doug and making a major move with Howie. The interesting part that I'm anxious to see is how we deal with the draft and how we deal with Week 17. I think right now, I saw this morning that I think it's 6 that we're projected to get, 6th pick, which would obviously be a blessing. I'm anxious about what we're going to do next week. I don't think we're going to mail it in. Like, that's not the Philly way, like, historically looking at these games. I don't see them mailing it in, and I'm anxious to see what they would do with that pick. Like, have they seen enough of Hurts to say, we're willing to give this guy a shot, or are they going to say, we're going with a stud quarterback for next year? So, I don't even have an answer to your question, because the variables, I don't remember a time in all the years I've been watching the Eagles that this many variables have been in the air. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, it's going to end. To answer your question about this upcoming week, I have been saying for the longest that I want to win. I don't care about draft picks, whatever. Things changed. I'm sorry. Like, this might be the one time I will ever say, Eagles just kind of, I was joking around with a couple of my buddies that we have a group chat, and I was like, I wouldn't mind if it's a 1-point game, 30 seconds to go. We line up for the winning field goal. Cowboys are all hyped because they might make the playoffs, and we just kneel it. Just let Washington take it. Like, listen, we could have beat you, but we didn't want to. I just hate the Cowboys that much. So that's that's my blinding factor right there. But I agree. It's we've seen a lot of reports conflicting, saying that Doug wants out, saying that Howie would be very safe. So, and then we just recently saw that Doug feels very safe. So I tend to agree that I don't see any big moves coming, but we have to hope. We have to hope that they can figure this draft out. But it is what it is. This is Philly, so you can't rule out anything. It might not be the best of the off seasons. But either way, man. Hey, look, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. Just chopping it up for it. And one of these days, bro, we got to definitely get you back on here. Maybe do a live or something like that, and just get it popping, man.
I'm with it, man. That would be great. I appreciate it, man. Congrats on all the traction you've gained.
Thank you.
I've been watching. I've been loving it. So, man, thank you so much for having me on, man. I'm definitely looking forward to staying in touch, man. And ideally, meeting up one day, man.
Yes, sir. I'm definitely down. And your links are all gonna be in the description. So I'll have your YouTube down there, and I'll have your Instagram. So everybody that's watching, definitely go check him out, because you got to support Philly, first of all. And I'm sure most of you already saw him and just forgot to hit the sub, because you guys do that with me. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. But either way, man, you know what it is, man. It's Fly Eagles Flying. We are out here. Peace.
Thank you, man. Peace.